chiquicho, toma.
¡Ole!
Viva la madre que te parió. Vamos allá. Arsa. Toma que toma. ¿Qué arte tiene, chiquilla? ¡Qué bien toca, hijo! You've heard them, right? Jaleos in flamenco. Jaleos might seem secondary, like seasoning, compared to the main ingredients, baile, toque, cante, palmas, cajon, but they are essential to flamenco's flavor and identity. They don't just elevate the performance, they are part of the performance, and I've always found them fascinating. But doing them kind of intimidating, right? I used to, and I still do sometimes, feel a bit shy, out of place, like second guessing every ole, worried it will sound fake, like the music will stop and everyone will turn with that look like, what was that? After all, it's not my culture, it's not even my native language. And in a way, we know that artists can tell if someone really knows flamenco just by how and when they throw in a jaleo. And that's scary. But I want to do jaleos that feel good, soulful, authentic, groovy. And I'm sure you do too, right? The problem, because jaleos are spontaneous by nature, there are no real explanations. There are no jaleos classes or lessons, jaleo courses, jaleo workshop. And when you ask, you usually get one of two answers. Either a list of tired, overused jaleos that feel as heartfelt as a pre-recorded voicemail. Ole, señora! Ole lo que tocan bien! Toma que toma! Or something like, just let it come out, let it flow from your heart. Thank you, but that's definitely not enough. Hi, I'm Guillermo Guillen for FlamencoMAPS. Welcome to my channel. Whether you sing, you dance, you play guitar, you play cajon, you play palmas, or you just love flamenco and you want to know more about how it works, I'm sure you have many questions about jaleo, like what are they really? Where do they come from? Why do we need them? What's their purpose? What do they mean? How do they actually work? And possibly the biggest question of all, how to do them? When to do them? Are there rules, or can you just shout whatever you want whenever you feel like it? In short, how do you go from awkward mumbling to throwing down jaleos that sound authentic, confident, flamenco? So I thought I could cover this topic in just one video, but it turns out there's way too much to say. Jaleos, like everything in flamenco, are something we all want to learn to do, but we don't necessarily realize that just like everything else, they aren't just jaleo. Just like palmas aren't just clapping hands. They are another tip of the flamenco iceberg. So it's going to be a whole series because one video is just not enough. And I'll do my best to answer all the questions. And if you have any other question, please ask me in the comment section. So vamos allá, let's go. And as always, let's start at the beginning with a little bit of context, with the meaning of the word jaleo. Before I forget, please just hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot if you want me to keep making videos like this one. According to the Diccionario de la Real Academia Española, the word jaleo appears to come from the interjection ala, historically used to spur someone into action. Jaleo is not exclusive to flamenco. It's a common Spanish word with several meanings depending on the context. It can refer to a ruckus, fuss, a general noise and commotion, a lively party like a fiesta or jarana, but also confusion, disorder, chaos, a messy situation, and even a fight or a riot. But whether joyful or violent, they all suggest movement and energy. In 19th century Spain, jaleo was the name of a popular dance, el baile de jaleo, especially el jaleo de Jerez. This dance was clearly part of flamenco's early evolution, leaving traces in key palos like soleá, cantiñas, bulería, and of course the palo also called jaleo. So which meaning of jaleo is John Singer Sargent referring to in his painting's title? Maybe all of them. Beautiful painting. Today in the flamenco world, jaleo usually refers to these three things. The specific palo, often with strong regional roots like the jaleos extremeños from Extremadura, typically set to a bulería compás but with its own distinct melodic estilos. Or specific palmas patterns you typically use for modern baile por jaleo. And ultimately, jaleos as the spontaneous vocal expressions that we are exploring together here. Flamenco itself is a conversation between music, dance, and singing, and jaleos are its spoken voice. Praise, support, encouragement, humor, poetic compliments, and even sometimes friendly challenges. You can cheer an artist by name, honor a place or tradition, or invite something to happen. Other times, it's a familiar exclamation like arsa or ole, the most iconic of all. Arsa seems to come from the Andalusian pronunciation of alza, from the verb alzar, meaning to lift or to raise. So originally it may have meant something like rise, physically, emotionally, or artistically, but I'm not really sure about that. And ole doesn't translate easily either. It's not a word you explain, it's a feeling you express. It echoes deep cultural roots, and it can mean anything from admiration to affection, awe, or even a kind of sacredness. We'll talk about ole in another episode. But not all jaleos carry a literal meaning. Sometimes it's just a sound, a raw burst of energy. We'll dig into these different messages, layers, and cultural codes more deeply in another video. The fascinating part, and what I really want to insist on today, is that it's not necessarily the what, the contents that defines a function. It's not about the words themselves or their literal meaning. It's more about the when or where, the context, and the how, the delivery. You might shout a free, straight from the gut, ole, just anywhere. Or, as you've seen a million times for bulerías, that same ole might land right on beat 12, perfectly in compass, right after a cierre, because you feel the rhythm, you know the structure, and you understand when and how to respond. You see the difference, right? Same what, ole, totally different how and why. Jaleos might seem spontaneous and free, and often they are, but it all depends on the kind we are talking about. Because here's the thing, we say jaleo like it's just one thing, but it's not. There are different kinds, and it's not so much about what they say, but rather what role they play in the moment, their function. It's nearly impossible to neatly classify jaleos, but you know me, I love categorizing things anyway. So to help us navigate this ocean of possibilities, it's useful to think of jaleos in two broad categories based on the roles they play in the moment. There are emotional and relational jaleos, the jaleos that are here to show support. They basically say, I'm here with you. Keep going in any way imaginable. They tap into something deeply human, the urge to join in, to react, to connect, to share, a way to be present and part of the moment. Those can be very free and spontaneous, no need to worry about compass or strict timing here. But then there is another kind of jaleos, the tricky ones, the musical and interactive jaleos. I say the tricky ones because they are the ones we'll have to practice a lot, like anything else in flamenco. They are not just emotional reactions or casual cheers, they are also musical tools. They are not just social, they are deeply musical and functional. To use them well, you need to speak flamenco's functional language fluently, know the structures, master the compass, catch the cues, and understand the codes. Within this category of musical jaleos, there is one type that everyone loves. I love them because it's the most exciting, the most fun, and the most dynamic. The rhythmic jaleos, the jaleos acompasados, or what I like to call the soniquete drivers. These are the ones that strengthen the group by adding an extra layer to the compass. The ones that inject soniquete. Once we understand these two big categories and their function, we can start learning how to do jaleos in a way that is more intentional, more connected, and more meaningful. So it means that at first, you don't have to memorize 100 jaleos. You need to understand how they function. They are a bottomless well of creativity, but there is an art to jalear. And if you want to learn it, you have to demystify what seems spontaneous, but is actually a skill. Yes, they need to come from somewhere real, but they don't just appear by opening your heart. The good news is that there is no fixed rule. You don't need a license, but there are different challenges to overcome. If, like me, you weren't born in Spain or raised in a flamenco environment, you've had to learn and practice compass, cante, baile, or toque, right? So why should jaleos be any different? Especially if Spanish, and even more so Andaluz, isn't your native language. The language itself is a big challenge. Pronunciation, intention, acento, intonation, all those little things that might make your jaleo sound just off. So there is no reason jaleos would magically come to you when nothing else in flamenco does. So here is the secret. There is no secret. You have to learn how to jalear and in a way fake it until you make it. It means listening, understanding, memorizing, practicing, and repeating. Then mixing, combining, experimenting, just like learning any foreign language. Eventually, you stop repeating memorized lines and start actually speaking. And even with fluent Spanish, grasping the function, intention, timing, or the rhythmic placement of certain jaleos demands dedicated learning. And just like in dance, in cante or guitar, it's not about mimicking or parroting phrases. You don't just want to learn jaleos, you want to learn how to jalear. So that's it for today. I hope things are starting to feel a bit clearer. In the next video, we'll look at the emotional and social function of jaleos, our first category. I see you there. Till then, if it helped, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, I don't know where else, and also go and visit flamencomaps.com where I explain my classes, courses, and my way of teaching flamenco. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, boom!